Social Security Fairness Act that was just signed into law by President Biden is going to affect millions of people, and so we're going to talk about that today, and particularly the millions of people that don't know it affects them as well. So we've got 3 million what they're called non-covered workers. Those are the people that worked in state, local, and also in the federal government before the 1980s. They were hired before the 1980s. So these are individuals that worked in what's called non-covered employment. So they work for the state or local governments that did not pay into Social Security in their primary jobs, but they did pay into Social Security in part-time jobs or when, before they worked for the government or after they worked for the government. So we're reaching out to those 3 million people, right, that are in that particular category, and the millions of others that may be affected by this. Social Security is kind of keeping a tight lip on the details here, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. The mass media is definitely not covering these things correctly. They are just kind of repeating hey, the expansion of the benefits and everything. But so we're going to go into details and make sure you get everything you're entitled to. There's a lot of missing pieces here. One of the reasons is if you look at the HR 82, which is what started this. This is the one passed by the House of Representatives. It was passed by the Senate and it was signed into law by President Biden. And this is it. That's it. One page. And the big thing is this bottom part right here. The amendments made in this act shall apply with respect to the monthly insurance benefits paid under Title II of the Social Security Act for months after December 2023, notwithstanding. And so yeah, this is it. A couple of sentences there. Talks about the primary, the PIA, the Title II. If you're new to my channel, I was a Title II claim specialist. That means I adjudicated claims based on the Title II Act of Social Security. Let me pop up who I am here. Ed Weir, ran the third busiest Social Security office in the country, and I've dealt with this stuff for a few decades. And now on my channel here, I'm making sure you get everything you're eligible for and making sure the Social Security program is going to be here for you and your family, and they won't reduce the benefits in the future. But two sentences here, basically. This is it. Two sentences is what all of this is based on, what the president signed. And what is happening now? So this was passed, signed by the president, and then the Social Security Administration, they have their team of lawyers and they're going through those two sentences, and they're going to be writing probably a 500 pages of policy based on those two sentences. It's crazy, I know. The PALMS policy, the Social Security policy, is over 20,000 pages, and essentially Congress just added another 500, probably 1,000 after it's all said and done. So that's why the Social Security Administration, if you look on their website, this is it. If you've got questions about the Social Security Fairness Act, they said update your address. If you're currently receiving benefits, update your address. If you haven't filed for benefits, do this. But that is missing a lot, and the reason they're being kind of, they're not saying a lot is because they want their lawyers to check out everything and write all the policy, and then once the policy is written, then they have to send it out to the 1,500 plus field offices throughout the country, and they have to give training. So we're not going to see anything happen here until February, March, April, or something like that. So, but in the meantime, a lot of people are going to lose money because they don't do the right thing, and we're going to make sure viewers of this video do the right thing. So please make sure you share, like. Every time you like, you're probably saving the Social Security Administration in your tax dollars, your FICA tax, about $1,000, because this has happened before. It was called the SDW, the Special Disability Workload, and in my office, we had 4 people, and this took over 10 years to fix all the things. It took them over about 20 years to finally figure it out that it was a mistake. And then it took 30 years to finally get the last person paid. And we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. And how do we do that? You press like and subscribe and share and all that kind of good stuff. And anybody that you know worked under these non-covered entities, or the key here today is anybody you know that was married to someone who worked in one of these non-covered entities: teacher, firefighter, police, dog catcher, the mayor, whoever who worked under a state or local system that did not pay into Social Security. And I'm going to explain why it's important, because if they don't get this information, they're going to lose money. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay. So the Social Security Fairness Act got rid of the WEP and GPO. And we're not going to get into details. I've talked about what a WEP and GPO is several times, the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. Okay. So it got rid of that. And we're looking at about 3 million people in this category. And then the important thing, as I mentioned, a couple of million people that were married to those few people. All right. So, as the Social Security Administration website says, if you are already WEP'd or GPO'd, officially WEP'd or GPO'd, and if you are, you know what I'm talking about. That is, there is an offset that you have a WEP PIA, your primary insurance amount has been reduced because you receive that non-governed pension, then you are in the system and you are good, but you're not done here yet. You are good because the Social Security essentially has your number and knows that you have a WEP PIA or you have a full GPO offset. But it says in the on the website, it says make sure you update your phone number and your direct deposit and stuff like that. And that way, when they start, redoing the computer, they're going to be able to send you your checks and everything like that back to, December 2023. But the important thing is those people that are WEP'd and GPO'd and fought for the overthrow of the WEP and GPO and everything, you have spouses, you have divorced spouses, divorced spouses. And those people are going to lose money if they don't take action and check to see if there's any benefits available. Why is that? When people call for a spouse benefit, since 2016, they've had to file for benefits on their own record. So a spouse has to file for benefits on their own record and they get their own benefit amount. And then if their spouse or their divorced spouse, if they're eligible, had to be married 10 years and everything, if their divorced spouse is receiving benefits and their benefit amount is twice your benefit, the spouse's benefit amount, then the spouse is eligible for benefits on the other spouse's record, current spouse or divorced spouse. So one has to be twice as much as the other. The problem is, and this is what Social Security is not telling and the mass media is not telling because they don't know the details. They just said, hey, it's been overturned and great, yada, yada. The problem is when all of those people called, those spouses and ex-spouses, your ex-spouses, whatever, when they called Social Security and they said, hey, I want to file for benefits on my spouse's or my ex-spouse's record, the Social Security person looks at their record and looks at the PIA, looks at your one spouse's PIA and says, okay, this is $1,000, looks at the other one and says, oh, this is $1,300. So this is not twice as much as yours. So you can't file for spouse benefits, and they hang up or they go out of the office and never to be seen again. We need to find those people. We need to find those people because the WEP PIA, that WEP'd PIA, the percentage reduction is no longer taking effect. So the PIA for those individuals are going to be increased. So those spouses and divorced spouses may now be able to get benefits. So please press like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. This is a kind of an advanced video here today, a lot of details. So you please reach out to everybody and you've got somebody down the street, little old lady down the street. Weren't you married to someone that worked in the government? That was hired before the 1983 when federal government workers did not pay into Social Security. Now federal government workers do. Weren't you married to someone that was a cop in Texas or a teacher in Texas that did not pay into Social Security? But they worked other places. Yeah, I was married. Did you ever check to see if you're entitled to spouse benefits? Yeah, I checked. They said they're not entitled because of whatever calculations. I didn't understand it. Tell that person to call Social Security. And I'm going to give you tricks here in a little bit on how to do this because it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare. Okay, so these are people that the PIA, the primary insurance amount, the benefit at your full retirement age was not twice as much. So we need to reach out to those people, and now they just might have some money there waiting for them. And this also includes GPO, the government pension offset. So the government pension offset is the same type of situation, except for if the spouse who the lower earning spouse has a non-covered pension. So their government pension, maybe they walked into the Social Security office last year, 5 years from 5 years before, 10 years before, whatever the case may be, and they say, "Okay, I want to file for benefits on my record." And they say, "Okay, here's your benefit amount," and they ask, "Oh, I want to file for benefits on my ex's." And they say, "Are you receiving a non-covered pension?" "Yeah." You're going to be completely offset. "Do you want us to go ahead and take a claim?" And those people say, "No, I'm not going to get any money. Who cares? I don't want to take a claim on that." Though we need to find those people. That's why the SDW, the special disability workload, which lasted for a decade or so, trying to find those people took so long. And I mean, we're by pressing like and subscribe. I know I'm being annoying in this, but we need to get the information out there. By pressing like, you probably save the agency $1,000, because rather than 10 years down the line, having employees look for these people to try to give them the money, you by pressing like and subscribe and sharing and all this kind of stuff, you're reaching out to those people so they can contact Social Security so they don't have to wait 5 years, 10 years, 20 years for their benefits. Okay. All right. So spouses, current spouses, ex-spouses that are receiving benefits on their own pension, surviving spouses, the same type of situation. If you had someone that you were married to, and you're entitled to benefits on their record, and you didn't file for surviving spouse benefits because you're receiving a pension on your own record, there you go. Reach out to Social Security. And here's the trick. This is why it's important to do this immediately, if not sooner, by January 31st, is because Social Security has this protective filing. We're not exactly sure how the lawyers are going to work out the details in this, but I'm just giving you, experience based on decades of doing this. Protect yourself and protective filing. So, with anything else with Social Security, if you call Social Security on January 31st or February 28th or whatever the case may be, you're protected for that month. So if you call Social Security at the last day of January, and then you don't get your appointment for a month or 2 months later, and they don't adjudicate your claim for a month or 2 months or 3 months after that, you're not going to lose those months. Because you first called Social Security in the month of January, you're protected for that month. So if it takes them 5, 6 months or whatever to get everything done, they'll give you 5 or 6 months of back pay. So this is important. So this is why we need to reach out to these people as soon as possible. If you're watching this video on a recording later and it's after January 31st, then call anyway. So at least you're protected for February. Or if you watch this video in March, then call immediately. That's the trick. And here's another trick. Because Social Security is so understaffed right now, they're going to have a hard time adjudicating these claims, finding the people and, getting the people their money. But they're also having a very, very tough time of picking up the phones because they're so understaffed. There's a 50-year low in terms of staffing of Social Security Administration. And if you're a regular viewer, that you know that politicians that want to destroy Social Security, that's their plan, is to choke Social Security so they can drown it in the bathtub. And one of their ways is destroy customer service by not providing resources. So it's going to get even 10 times worse because of this No Social Security Fairness Act. But here's the trick. Here's the workaround. Call Social Security, preferably on your phone, your cell phone. Well, obviously on your phone, but your cell phone. And while you're sitting there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, yesterday someone said they were on for 7 hours and then they fell asleep. And so yeah. So anyway, so if you're on the phone for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and you're not able to get through, which is probably going to be the case, take a picture, a screenshot of your phone that you are connected with the 800 number, 800-772-1213. And then probably on your phone, it has, that you're connected and you've been waiting for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 3 hours, 4 hours. Take a snapshot of that. And that way, if you can't get in, you have proof. And guess what? You can use that as proof. I reached out to you, Social Security Administration, in January. You didn't pick up the phones. Now it's March. I don't want to lose those 2 months of benefits. Here's my phone that shows I actually contacted you. And you can use that as proof. And so to keep that call log. If you do get through to Social Security, I've already had a couple of people contact me, and they said they called about this, and the people says, "We don't know anything about it yet. Nothing's come down. So bye." And so don't mention WEP and GPO. If you were completely, offset, the GPO offset, and so you didn't file, if you did file, then you have a record and your GPO, full GPO offset is in the record. So they have all the information there. So go into, the SSA.gov, go into my social security, update your address and all that kind of stuff. But if you didn't file because, the claim specialist says, hey, there's no money anyway, so you just said, forget it, then you definitely need to call. Again, if you're already on the record, but you're offset, you don't need to call. If if you didn't file, you go online and you can file an auxiliary spouse benefits, a spouse benefit. You cannot file a surviving spouse benefit online yet. They haven't added that online yet, so you definitely need to call and keep that log. And don't mention WEP or GPO. Don't mention that. Just say, I want to file for spouse benefits. I want to file for surviving spouse benefits. And they'll give you an appointment next month or 3 months or 4 months down the line or whatever the case may be. It's going to be crazy. Yeah. Please be nice to the Social Security employees. It's not their fault. This is, a conscious decision by politicians to, anyway. So, all right. So don't mention windfall elimination provision. Don't mention the government pension offset, but call. If you don't get through, save that call log. All right. Another thing that nobody's talking about is overpayments. The lawyers are probably talking about it right now. They're probably working 24/7, coming up with these hundreds of pages of policy to implement this 2 sentences. But overpayments. So if you have an overpayment because you didn't report your WEP or GP or your non-covered pension in time, because this policy goes back to December 2023, if part of your overpayment was because of that, you just notified, Social Security Administration yesterday that you were receiving those non-covered pension, and they said, hey, but you've been receiving it for the last year. You have an overpayment, and so you say, okay, I have an overpayment, and you're repaying the overpayment and stuff. Well, you might just get that year and get that overpayment for that year deleted. So for those having an overpayment because they did not report their non-covered pension in time, and again, the people that I'm talking about know who I'm talking to, file an SSA 632. That is a request for a waiver, or possibly an SSA 561 in this particular case. That's a request for reconsideration. Probably in this particular case, because this is a new law that came out and you're arguing kind of the nature of the overpayment of the law, maybe a 561, but either one of those is fine. Most Social Security employees, unfortunately, don't know the difference between a 561 or a 632. So maybe just file them both just to be on the safe side, because again, the lawyers are still figuring out. But the most important thing here is that we get you protected. Okay. So if you have an overpayment, take action. If you're going to be getting any time of extra benefits from Social Security because of the Social Security Fairness Act, and you're receiving any income-related support, Medicaid, SSI, anything like that, make sure that you contact those people, because any income coming in, that will affect your eligibility for any, those welfare-based income-related programs. Here's one a lot of people are missing at all times: MQGE, Medicare Qualified Government Employees. Those employees, those workers that worked at these non-covered entities, these state, local governments, the federal government back before the 1980s, they did not pay in those jobs the Social Security part of the FICA tax, but they did pay the Medicare part of the FICA tax. So the places they worked with said, yeah, we don't want to play with Social Security, so we're not going to play with y'all. But they wanted to play with Medicare, so you have deductions out of Medicare. So a lot of people don't realize that it's called a MQGE only claim. And so you can get Medicare based on your non-covered employment. And what a lot of people don't realize, you can also get Medicare if you're 50, 60 years old, and Social Security makes this mistake all the time, and you go down to file for disability. They look at your earnings record and they say, well, you didn't pay into Social Security for the last 10 years. And you say, well, I was a teacher in Texas, so I didn't pay. And then they send you away. But what they should do is say, you can't get the money, but you're 50 years old. You want Medicare 2 years early, because when you get approved for Social Security disability insurance, whether it's just Medicare alone, you can get Medicare after 2 years. So there's a lot of people missing that. And spouses, the same type of situation. If you're married to someone and they're not insured or whatever the case may be, and you don't have Medicare for yourself, then reach out and again say, hey, I understand there's no money there, but I'm not insured for Medicare on my own record, but maybe I can get Medicare from a spouse or a divorced spouse. And again, all of this is going to take a lot longer than people imagine. There's going to be some that's going to be really, really easy. People that are already on the system that have the WEP, the PIA that are already kind of the offset, or already have the full saving, the full offset. Those are going to be relatively easy, but it's going to come incremental. So the first, checks might go out next month. I doubt it, but probably maybe that next month or the month after or something like that. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of that just trickles in, and it's going to take years to find everybody. But because you all press like and subscribe, it's going to take a lot shorter time to get this done. And another reasons it's taking so long is because the Supreme Court and the Chevron deference that they passed, was it last year now? That the lawyers at Social Security, because they, in any court in the country can now oversee essentially and write Social Security policy for all intents and purposes. So the lawyers at Social Security are being very, very lawyerly and they're going to take a long time to write this policy in a lot more detail than any other policies they've written before. So there's going to take another time to, yeah. And, kind of, I guess, a shout out to the other 97% that stayed with me this long and saying none of this applies to me. I don't know anybody. I don't have a relative, friend, coworker, neighbor that this applies to me. I wish Ed would shut up about this stuff. You know, we've been hoodwinked on this one. President Biden signed it because he knew President Trump would. This is a bipartisan effort to pretend like they are protecting Social Security and expanding Social Security, but it doesn't expand Social Security. It actually makes Social Security insolvent quicker. And I've done several videos. So basically, the other 97% of Americans, yes, if you watch my other videos, you got the short end of the stick here. But anyway, all right. So I'm gonna jump into my live Q&A. I think I went through all the questions. Like I said, this is advanced Social Security. All right. So let me make sure I went out. I think I got everything in there. I reiterated everything that was super, super important. And got tons of questions, and I want to try to focus on ones, if I possibly can, that really have questions concerning this. Let's see if I can. All right, here we go. Linda, when I turned 65, I began receiving Social Security benefits, which was subject to the WEP reduction. But instead, the GPO formula was used incorrectly. It was my own postal retirement that affected my Social Security. The WEP is to adjust your PIA on your own record, and the GPO, the government pension offset, is to 2/3 of your non-covered pension affect what you receive from a spouse. So the GPO is 100% focused on benefits you would be entitled to from a spouse. So yeah, if they use the GPO formula, they can use both. They use the WEP on you and then a GPO on spouse benefits. So that sounds correct. Yeah, they don't use a GPO on your own. So. Let's see. I retired on and there's some people out there. I just talked to someone today. Hello, Annette. I just talked to someone today that has done something very, very smart, and she says, I'm going to stop watching the news because it's so aggravating. So she stopped watching the news, but unfortunately missed the whole Social Security Fairness Act and all the rest of it. And she just happened to get one of the letters when you file for Social Security benefits, and you tell them 5, 10, 20 years ago that you work for a non-covered entity that did not pay into Social Security. What they do is they send you a letter every now and then. Social Security sends you a letter every now and then. It says, "Hey, are you receiving that pension yet? You have to make sure you tell us." And so she just puts no and returns it back. But and now I guess now you don't have to do that. But if you receive that letter, I'd probably fill it out and return it, even though it doesn't apply anymore. But there's a lot of people out there that don't know what's going on here, and we definitely need to reach out to those people. So very smart to turn off the news sometimes, though. That's a good strategy. I'm gonna have to try that. I retired on disability from USPS in 1982. So United States Postal Service before Reagan era, when there's all this web GPO stuff started, there was the old CSRS, the Civil Service Retirement System. They did not pay into Social Security. Politicians did not pay into Social Security. But since basically the early 1980s, under the new system, they pay into Social Security. So but again, there are states and city governments and local county governments that do not pay into Social Security. I retired on disability from the United States Postal Service in 1982 at age 39 after working 5 years as a rural letter carrier. I subsequently worked in several jobs paying into FICA, approximately 20 years. So you might be, if you're receiving a pension from the United States Postal Service and one of those non-covered pensions, then your benefit amount is WEPT. It is, the percentage is reduced. Um, and so um, if your benefit is already wept like that, if it's already readjusted, then you don't have to do anything. Just go in there and make sure you update your address and stuff like that. But I would definitely, again, I would reach out to anybody you were married to that could possibly receive benefits on your record, and maybe they didn't because your PIA, your primary insurance, was reduced. So all right, let's see here. I'm jumping around here. We got tons of other questions, but how long does it take to get your first paycheck or notice of how much you're making on an SSDI after you get approval? Oh, okay. All right. General question there. It really depends on what stage you're at. If you're at the initial stage, usually a little bit quicker, few weeks, a month or something under normal circumstances, but we're not under normal circumstances, anymore. Let me throw this up here. And what we need to do to get back to normal circumstances is reach out to your Congress people, call the Capitol switchboard, call your local congressperson, the local office, and tell them, hey, what are you doing to improve customer service? What are you doing to prevent the future cuts that are going to happen to Social Security in 2033 or 2034, perhaps earlier? Reach out to social media and all the rest of it. When you're on the phone for 3 hours waiting for someone to pick up, then get onto your your congressperson's website and say, hey, I need help with a federal agency. What kind of help do I need? I need them to pick up the damn phone, and I need you to provide them resources to pick up the damn phone. So, all right, sorry, old Marine Corps language could have been worse, but I moderated myself. But yeah, in terms of in terms of getting your, if you're at the third stage, the administrative law judge stage, then it's taking a lot longer. If you have a lawyer, it's going to take longer because they have to pay the lawyer, and so yeah, it really depends on what type of situation. But in normal days, initial few weeks. So let's see. If your deceased spouse was on disability, will that lower the survivor benefits amount? No, no. The only time the survivor benefit amount is lowered is if the number holder, the deceased, filed for benefits early, and you can get benefits at 50 from disability, and that's not considered early. We're only talking about early retirement from Social Security. That's, I told Senator Kennedy to reach out to you to learn about Social Security. Yeah, I did a video on him a little while ago about, yeah, he's the one that started that internet myth about 6.2 million American deceased people receiving Social Security checks. And yeah, he didn't specifically say that, but the way he presented it, he wanted people to pick up on that. And, so, and again, and there's another time another attempt to destroy Social Security by 1,000 cuts. Let's see here. All right. My husband was a state of California employee, Board of Equalization from 71 to 2009. I am thinking he is not affected by this bill. State of California, yeah, they have Cal Stirs, but California is kind of strange. Some people in the state are in Cal Stirs. It's it's a non-covered work, and some aren't. So I would check that out. So I would have him reach out, and well, if he's already wept, then he's good. But if you didn't file for benefits on his record because his benefit amount was not twice yours, maybe it will be once they figure out the PIA of all the people out there and the new benefit amount. So I would probably, if you haven't already filed an auxiliary claim, a spouse claim, I would definitely do that. Go online, or give Social Security a call. The WEP GPO repeal might seem unfair to you, but for 40 years with a flawed formula, penalties saved the trust fund billions of dollars and extended its solvency immensely. But yeah, now with the change, it's going to go the opposite way. $190 billion for this. Yeah. So, how do you determine eligibility for the HR 82? If you or anyone you're entitled to benefits on worked for a non-government entity and did not pay into Social Security when they worked at that particular place. So let's see. Rob, still waiting for Social Security to correct the bad advice from them last year that there was no child and care benefits for my wife. Is there a way to get back pay for at least 6 months? Absolutely. If you were given incorrect information, then the standard form is the SSA 561, the request for reconsideration, and you submit it. And there's just a couple of lines on the form, so you can put like "see attached" and then type up just a letter and say, hey, here's the deal. Should have gotten child and care benefits 6 months early, and all the rest of it. So definitely, absolutely. 33 years CSRS and paid my 40 quarters. Okay. 2013 reached full retirement age, went down to Social Security and was told that I GPO would wipe out benefits. So went on my own, which was affected by WEP. Yeah. So you definitely need to reach out and file. You filed in 2016, before 2016, when you could do that, file and suspend thing, but now it's changed. But yeah, you went on your own record. So yeah, you definitely need to file a spouse claim or a surviving spouse claim or whatever the case may be, because that GPO, the offset, will no longer apply. Oh, I live in Canada, and I'm an American citizen. Yes, that is another thing that the WEP and the GPO. Well, actually, the GPO doesn't count for foreign pensions, but the windfall elimination provision does. So if you worked in any other country and there's totalization agreements, and it's different in each country and how the Social Security categorize it, but whatever the case may be, if your benefit amount was reduced because you get a pension from, like, say, Canada. I know Canada has two different pension versions. One is kind of like Social Security, and the other one's not ish. And then you got Quebec, and Quebec is always doing it anyway. But yeah, you might be in the same situation too. Your primary insurance amount might be reduced because of the previous law. That one is going to be an interesting one. Because hopefully, yeah, I'm hoping the computer system, hoping the lawyers pick up on that. That these are not only people that work for as a Texas teacher or Florida or wherever the case may be, or California. Um, so I would definitely keep an eye on that to make sure you're included in there as well. So. Jeanette, I was told by a Social Security rep that since I am eligible for widow's benefits, even though I am full retirement age is 66, 8 months, widow fraud is 66 and 4 months. Is that true? Yes. Yes. So, yes, the full retirement age is different for survivor benefits than everybody else's benefit, the retirement or spouse or divorced spouse or whatever the case may be. That's because the full retirement age, or early retirement for survivors, you can start your survivor benefits at 60. Everybody else retirement spouse benefits has to start at 62. So that's why the full retirement age is a little bit different for survivor benefits. However, what a lot of Social Security employees don't know, as I know because I just talked to someone yesterday that's been dealing with this issue, is that the annual earnings limit is exactly the same. So for survivor benefits, you have a different full retirement age, but for survivor benefits for the annual earnings limit, like this year, as long as you stay under 23,400, you can get your benefits if you're talking about early retirement. That is the same. Survivor benefits annual earnings limit, same full retirement age. Everything else, different full retirement age. So Social Security employees and everybody else usually misses that. So you're doing a great job. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. I'm 63 and getting well educated by you before I turn 65. Thank you for all you do. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, so you're 65. You're going to be 65 soon, and so that's when Medicare starts. And remember, Medicare is mandatory. But if you have health insurance from current work, credible coverage, current work, your current work, or your spouse's current work, and your employer has 20 or more employees, then you do not have to sign up for Medicare Part B or D or anything. Um, so, and then you can delay later. Let's see. My sister was a county public defender. Does she qualify for the increase? It depends on which county and what state she was in. So ask her. This is it. Thank you, Anzi. This is exactly what we need right here. Is, hey, I have a sister, I have a brother, I have this next door neighbor. Da 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 da. Go knock on doors and say, hey, did, did you pay into Social Security? Not the. So the problem is people look at their pay stubs or something and they see FICA being taken out and they say, yeah, I pay Social Security. No, 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 no. FICA is Social Security, the 6.2%, and Medicare, the 1.45%. So if they just look at FICA and say, yeah, FICA is being withheld, make sure it's both, the 6.2 and the 1.45%. And obviously your employer pays the other part of that. But a lot of people just think that, oh yeah, I paid FICA. So check with her. And if she did not pay into the Social Security part of FICA when she worked there, then yeah, make sure she goes on to the, if she's already collecting benefits and she knows she's been wept, tell her to make sure she goes in there and updates her address and all that kind of good stuff. So that way she's part of the set. Also, 78 on Social Security. Your mom is fine. She'll have no change, no reduction. However, Dr. Ed's team might tell you something that could benefit mom. Oh, okay. So answering someone else's question. Oh, you guys are awesome. Got an awesome community here. This one mentions George Carlin, so I have to read this one. Like they care anything about us, they have been trying hard over the trying to hand over the trust fund to Wall Street since Reagan in the 80s. Like George Carlin said, they want that money and they are going at it. Yeah. Yes. And there is a movement now. There's a senator that's going to be introducing a bill in Congress to give $1.5 trillion of the Social Security Trust Fund to Wall Street. And so for all those people out there that said, oh, the trust fund it's all stolen, it's given to Ukraine and illegals, it's all monopoly money, it's all fake money and stuff like that. And it's like, Wall Street really wants that monopoly money pretty bad. And politicians are like, one day they will say, oh, it's all fake money. It's all useless. It's all useless IOUs. And the next day they'll say, hey, let's give 1.5 trillion of that, useless money to the Wall Street. So which is it? Is it money or isn't it money? Let's see. Is there a way to get to the phone prompt to have them call you back so you don't have to sit and listen to the elevator music for 4 or 5 hours? No. Yeah, it's unfortunately this is par for the course. When I ran my office, we 98% answer rate within like the first 5 or 10 minutes or something. But I know the office I ran is not like that anymore because the staffing is just plummeted. When I took my retirement, they called me about a week later and said, Ed, do you want to come back? I am back, but not in that way. I just got another letter from Social Security yesterday telling me that my increase was going to be less than $2. I have no clue as to why it just says it's been reduced by $2. Increase? Reduced? So yeah, if it was an increase, could be the 2.5% COLA increase. Very exciting, right? Anyway, and then they raised Medicare by $10. So, question: I was on COBRA when I turned 65. I filed for Medicare Part A, but not B, for 8 months. My medical insurance didn't pay, despite repeated calls. They did not say I needed Part B. Yes, COBRA is not from current employee, so unfortunately, you're going to have to pay a penalty probably 10% for every 12 months you do not have Part B, because you can only, refuse Part B if you have current health insurance, yours or your spouse's, from current work and 20 or more employees and all that stuff. But luckily right now is January. There's a couple of enrollment seasons right now. So we've got the general enrollment period for Part B. So you can go ahead and file for Part B right now in January, February, March. And up to about a year ago, your Part B wouldn't start till July, but now they changed the law about a year ago. And so if you sign up for Part B now, it'll start February 1st. If you do it February 1st, it'll start March 1st. And then you also need to find yourself a Medicare plan. And that's why I teamed up with a chapter there. They reach out to them and they can help you figure out how to sign up from Part B if you need help, and also find you a Medicare plan to fill in all the gaps of original Medicare, which there are bunch of gaps. 3 million is a very small amount of people in relation to everyone in Social Security. Yeah, everyone, about 70 million people on Social Security. Yep. Let's see. I'm 65. I applied to start Social Security in March of this year. I won't get my first check until April. Does the monthly start in January? So, yes. So, that's a common question. If you started your benefits in March, you'll get your first check in April. Why do they pay a month late? Because one day when you, as we all will, shuffle off our mortal coil, they want to be able to stop that payment, because at the end, you have to be alive the entire month to be entitled to that benefit amount. So they always pay a month back like that so they can catch it at the inevitable end. So, yeah. So if your benefits start in March, your March check comes in April. Let's see here. Too late. You had your chance. You lost 75%. It's good. 75% of Congress voted for the Fairness Act. Yeah. Yeah, they again, people that watch my channel know that I'm not a big fan of the Fairness Act because it's just unfair to the other 97%. And basically, what it is since 1935, since day one of Social Security, low income workers get a higher percentage of what they paid into Social Security. That's been like that since 1935. It's always been like that. Lower income, because Social Security is an anti-poverty program. Lower income workers get a higher percentage. High income workers get a lower percentage. If you're making $10,000 a month on average throughout your life, you get about 35% replacement rate. If you make $1,000 on average throughout your life, you get about 90%. So 35%, 90%. How do they determine whether you're 35% or 90%? They look at your earnings throughout your life. Those 3% have earnings that are not reflected in normal Social Security calculations. So what happens if you have a firefighter in Kansas that paid into Social Security, and they made they're based on their earnings throughout their life, they get 50% replacement. You've got a firefighter in Texas that worked exactly the same as the guy in Kansas. They're not going to get 50% now of what they paid in Social Security. They're going to get 55%, 60%, 70%, 75%, 85%, the amount that was intended for the low income workers. That's why the that is a windfall to get those extra percentage. The provision to eliminate that windfall elimination provision. But now it's gone out. They decided to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And now 3% get extra percentage that the rest of the 97% don't. So, but there's that. It's the law now. So, old Marine Corps sergeant, I follow the law. If you haven't done so already, yes, don't forget to hit the thumbs and like and all that kind of good stuff. Yes. I took Social Security at 63. So, is there an income limit? Yes. I was in an auto accident and will likely receive a settlement. Is that dollar considered income? No, 100%. It's only income, wages from actually working, or net income from self-employment. So any type of money you have coming in, you cash out a 401k, you hit the lottery, you win some money gambling. Unless you're a professional gambler. If you're a professional gambler and that's your job is to be a professional gambler, and that's your net income from your business as a professional gambler, then it does count. But in yours, no, it doesn't count because it's not actual work. So. Am I grandfathered in from the 30% WEP? Everybody is grandfathered in as of December 2023. But if you are already, got that, reduction of your extra percentage, then you need to make sure the Social Security has your updated address and everything. So, asking for a friend, she's looking for life or burial insurance. Any recommendation? Yeah, actually, I'm. There's a lot of people, because that $255 lump sum death payment the Social Security's given you since the 1950s just ain't enough. Send me an email. ed at mygovexpert.com, and we're adding that as well by popular demand. So let's see. No grandfather clause, I know. Yeah, pretty much everybody's grandfathered in. If your benefit has been reduced because of the WEP and the GPO law, then yes. Even if you aren't eligible for ex-spouse benefits because of the PIA amount, Social Security should link the name to the account so they don't have to keep calling to see if ex-spouse is deceased. Seems doable. Even if you aren't eligible for ex-spouse's benefits because of the PI amount. Says, well, in order to link them on the MBR, the master beneficiary record, where everybody's account is, if that person is on that person's record, even receiving a dollar, then yes, it's automatic essentially. If that person is over 65 years old, but if the person doesn't file because they say okay, there's no more money there, then they're not on that record and they're not linked. Yeah, but if we got everybody to go ahead and file that claim and get on that record, even if they're not eligible for living spouse benefits, then it would be automatic. Yes, easy fix. Yep, and a lot of them are. Seems like those who don't deserve more are getting more, but hardworking single people get nothing. Yeah, and it's amazing the movement that got the weapon GPO thing overridden, changed, thrown out completely, which it should have been adjusted. It should have been changed. New formula should have been come up with. It's amazing they didn't inform their people. They educate their people of what is the PIA and the different percentage, and that. Yeah, it's amazing. I think it was they're just trying to keep their jobs. So yeah, so it's because people are very, how come you said I don't deserve this money? I worked and worked. So I didn't say you didn't deserve the money. I just said you didn't deserve a higher percentage than everybody else similar to you. And they're like, no idea what I'm talking about because the people that led their movement decided for a few decades not to tell them any of that. It's not sure why. Well, I know why, but anyway. All right, let's see what else we have here. Survivor benefits 2095, and disability 636, monthly 60 years. I over the monthly limit. Monthly limits. No, there's a monthly limit in terms of earnings, but if you're receiving disability, I assume you're not making over SGA, substantial gainful activity, in order to be because you're receiving disability. But if you're receiving $636 and you have survivor benefits there, then what happens is you continue to get your disability benefits, plus you get the extra money from survivor benefits. Obviously one offsets the other, but since you're 60 years old, you need to make sure you go out there and get that. There's a lot of people out there that are receiving disability and they don't want to file for spouse benefits or divorce spouse benefits or surviving spouse benefits or whatever the case may be, because they think that will stop their disability. It won't. You'll continue to get your disability, and their issue is always about Medicare. They don't want their Medicare to stop. So you'll continue to get disability, you'll continue to get Medicare, and you can add those benefits on top of your disability amount. Again, one offsets the other, but yes, 100%. So got through to Social Security and tried to get an appointment for April when I will be at my permanent residence. Was told they only make appointments 40 days in advance. I've never heard of that one. Yeah, you can make appointments. Yeah, that's probably that particular office doesn't have those appointments on their calendar. That's just a failure by the manager that runs that particular office. They're supposed to put more appointments on their calendar so the 800 number and the employees can schedule those appointments. But I can see another reason that they don't put appointments on the calendar, because they don't know if their staff is going to be here 40 days from now. So I got to give that district manager a break. So whoever's running, I ran the calendar for my office for a decade, so I know exactly their nightmare. Please address SSDI FERS disability offset, 10 years private sector procurement of Fed. Cite the regulation. Thanks for all you. Yeah, I'm not going to cite the regulation live. So if it's Social Security, it's not an offset. Sounds like it's a FERS offset. If you receive a FERS, which is the Federal Employee Retirement System, it's from the OPM, Office of Personnel Management, work for the federal government, and you receive disability, FERS offsets you. So. Excellent tip about taking a screenshot while you're on hold. Yes. The Social Security never had to do that before. You could always get through, but nowadays. Does SSDI have a spousal benefit for someone with a domestic partner for 18 years? It depends on your particular state. If your particular state recognizes common law, then yes. So, how do you know that? Probably the best thing is to just file a claim. The Social Security, the POMS, those 20,000 pages of policy, it has common law laws for every single state. And some states, have it now and they did it before, or they don't now and had it before. And so Social Security will ask you a bunch of questions that, okay, what state did you live in? When did you hold out yourself as a husband and wife? And so, yes. Um, I remember Dr. Ware mentioned about burial insurance through their company. Yeah, this is a chapter just does Medicare alone. But yeah, I'm working with a guy to help you all with veterans benefits. So hopefully have him on soon. And then burial insurance, final expense. I'm trying to add that as well. Affordable Care Act is a little bit more difficult, and we don't know whether how long that's going to be around. So yeah. If Congress would repay the Social Security Trust Fund all the money they took out, we would be okay. They took out, again, this is the internet myth that is why Social Security is hurting and why there are going to be cuts, because this is politicians perpetuating these BS lies. The Social Security Trust Fund has not been stolen. It's there. If you got a check this month, then you got part of the Social Security Trust Fund. Last year, $70 billion was taken out of the Social Security Trust Fund and put in your checks. So if you don't believe that the Social Security Trust Fund is in there, then the numbers aren't out for this year or even for 2024. Um, maybe 5-10% of your check is from the trust fund. So if you think that's fake money, do me a favor, take 5 or 10% out of every check for the rest of the year and send that to like a dog shelter or animal shelter or someplace, because it's not real money. So I've never had anybody take me up on it. So yeah. Um, duh, duh, duh. Let's see here. If I file federal employee disability at 54 and file SSDI, will Social Security be offset on FERS? Does it go at GPO law? GPO won't apply because you're FERS. It doesn't apply for that one. SSDI doesn't offset anything. The only thing SSDI is if it's like a workers' comp type situation, public disability benefits, then there might be, if your FERS is based on a workers' comp, then that might be an issue. But if it's just regular FERS disability, then no. It just, disability because of disability, it's not an issue. I took my spouse benefits because it was more than mine. Now, can I go back and also get mine? Um, if Did you do this before 2016? If you Because after 2016, you really can't do that anymore. There was, kind of a gray area there after 2016 for people, But anyway, but you can't do that anymore. When you file for spouse benefits, you have to file for benefits on your own record, and then you file for benefits on the other person's record. Unless we're talking about a survivor claim. If your spouse is deceased, then yes, you can do that. You're receiving surviving spouse benefits, and then you're waiting for your own benefits to increase. And when they increase more than what you're currently receiving, yeah, you jump on over to your own. Make sure you don't wait till after you turn 70, because your benefits on your own don't increase anymore based on delaying the month you turn 70 years old. So do not wait. Yeah, 70 is the max you should take. All right, let's see here. Oh, I already got that question. I have an ex-husband. We were married 7 years, but together over 10 in the state of Utah. Can I file on his? Yeah, it's same type of thing. Not sure. Utah, as you know, has some interesting marriage laws. I'm not sure if they have common law marriage in Utah, but if they do, then more power to you. My husband passed away August 2023. I went to apply for survivor benefits, but they denied me because I fell under WEP. Actually, because you fell under the GPO. The GPO was spouse benefits. But yes, Olga, yes, you are you're the audience today, one of the audience, and everybody else that knows anybody. But yes, you need to call Social Security. You can't file survivor benefits. If you actually were adjudicated, that means you filed and they sent you a letter that says, "Congratulations, you're entitled to survivor benefits, but you get zero because it's fully offset." Then you're on the record, but I wouldn't, yeah, because it's been a while. Well, no, it's only been 2023. So in your particular case, I would, if you're currently receiving benefits on your own record, I would reach out. But if you actually never took a claim, filed a claim, and you never got an official decision letter, then I would definitely, protect yourself, call, take a, try to get in and file for surviving benefits again. So. Do people who get Social Security disability still get it? Yeah, nothing changes there. I know I did a video yesterday on all the attempts. There, work requirements for Medicaid, and yeah, there's a bunch of changes that are going to be coming out here because hey, we have to pay for those tax cuts for the billionaires. They need their money. Um, why do you do not contact Social Security unless you are actually filing for retirement now? The new rules will apply in the future, so wait. Um, yeah, it really depends on what type of situation. Yeah, if you're just filing for regular retirement and you're not working or anything like that, though, and you haven't been wept, then yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. Linda, when I turned 65, I began receiving Social Security benefits, which was subject to the WEP reduction, but instead, okay, you already answered that one. That's impossible to have the GPO offset on WEP. That's just the computer can't do that unless that particular low-level claim specialist broke into one of the most secure, computer programs in the world and changed the formula just for you. That's impossible. So. Um, I get Social Security. Wife is a retired teacher. Her Social Security says Social Security benefit is suspended. She pays Medicare from checking account monthly. Yeah. So the suspended is that she is, I assume she is a retired teacher and she worked at Texas or wherever state or whatever that didn't pay into Social Security, California or wherever, Nevada. But there's like a bunch of states. But anyway, so so she is good. Just make sure she goes in there and updates her address and all that kind of good stuff into the online system because she's suspended. Um, because well, the suspended part is probably again, I'm assuming she's suspended because of the GPO offset. You wouldn't really be suspended for the WEP on her own record because there would be at least some money that would be paid out. So she's probably suspended on benefits from your record. So that means that's good that she took a claim and she's in a suspense. So she's probably one of the first people that the computers and the lawyers and everything will be able to, fix and give her that back pay going back to December 2023. But if she's suspended for any other reason, she has an overpayment or whatever the case may be, then what I just said doesn't apply. So, all right. Does SSDI have a spousal benefit for someone with a domestic partner for again domestic part? Yes, Social Security disability insurance. Yes, does have a spousal benefit if someone is receiving disability benefits. And you're at least 62, you can receive benefits on their record. So in that case, yeah. Who will get the 1 year back pay for GPO offset? Does it affect those who did not file due to the GPO but are now filing for benefits? That's exactly why press like and subscribe and share and all that kind of stuff because we need to reach out to those people because the lawyers are trying to figure all this out based on those two sentences. And we want to be prepared so we're not in limbo and you're not in limbo. So if you never filed, those are the people that are going to be missing benefits, the people that never filed because they found out it was going to be they weren't going to get any money. I'm not going to need money. I don't want to file. I don't want to go. I don't have to provide my marriage certificate and divorce decree and all this kind of stuff if I'm not even getting money. So forget y'all. I'm out of here. Those are the people that might be losing money. So yeah, but if you're already on the record, fully suspended, offset, or you call into Social Security now, then you're protected. And that way, if you have been getting the GPO offset since December 2023, you will get the back pay, assuming that's how the lawyers read those two sentences, which I think that's a pretty logical reading of those two sentences. January 7th, 2025, I applied for survivor benefits and was approved. I was under WEP GPO since it has been repealed. Will I get the actual amount in February? I wouldn't. You will get the actual amount. Yes. Whether it's February, that's a whole different ball of wax. Yeah. So, all right. I got tons of questions. I apologize. I'm over an hour. I try to keep these down to an hour. But I will be back again tomorrow and answer as many questions as I possibly can. There's tons of questions. I think tomorrow I might just do. I'll do the topic of the day, whatever it is, and I'll keep it to like under 5 minutes, and I'll spend the other 55 minutes answering your question. So if I missed your question today, join me tomorrow and put your question up one of the first things when I start, and I should be able to get to you. Y'all have an awesome day. Please reach out to everybody. Think like.